What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. This past weekend, I made a video talking about a situation with Nintendo being hacked. And at that time, I said we have to wait and see what Nintendo will say. Well, now they have issued a statement. So we'll take a look at their response to this whole thing here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Sony, as they did announce the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium games for October heading into Halloween. And we also have a job listing that Sony posted that, goes over another port they'll be doing for the PC, and in this case, it actually makes sense, and I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. All of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below, and of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or link in the description down below, and we're going to start today with that ROG Xbox Ally X handheld, as we did have reviews go live yesterday, since it is out this week, and there's definitely a range of opinions around this device, with the biggest thing being, is it an Xbox or not? I think most people have come to the determination that it's not an Xbox, because you're not really going to buy it to play GTA 6, as an example, next year, since it's not able to leverage the full Xbox console library. Still, though, they do have the overlay in the OS that they are using right now, and it feels like kind of in beta form. I had a chance to use the system early. The Asus sent one out, and I did mostly focus on a teardown for the device. However, in my time using it, I did notice that OS, while it works well when you don't really need to do anything that will be related more so to Windows, for like maybe you have to install updates for Windows, or you have that random runtime install that pops up if you want to play a certain game maybe, or you want to leverage more titles in Steam, but then it asks you to go to Steam to do different things. There are reasons you have to go to that Windows desktop view and leave the full screen experience completely. So it's not quite there on the level of, oh, it is like an Xbox console turn on. It's simplified. It's even kind of closed down, and you just have that true Xbox dedicated handheld. The hardware itself is good, as I found in my video, and you could check that one out. Again, I posted it yesterday, but it's also $1,000. And for the performance you get, while it's good in the terms of PC handheld space, there are definitely going to be limitations you run into where you got to play around with the settings to get it just right. And I would say if you want to look at just the benchmark side, I'll leave a link down below in the sources to Fox, who did a very, very good comparison, exhaustive comparison across a number of different games for not only this ROG Xbox Ally X, but the lower end one, as well as the Ally X and the Steam Deck OLED and the MSI. Like, he put a bunch of things in there, so check that one out. I'll have it linked down below. Also, we did have reviews go live for Ball X Pit, which is sort of this breakout-like adventure roguelike game. It's definitely unique, and I think really, really cool looking, but we can see some of the reviews here. Over on Metacritic, sitting at an 83 on PC. That's with the most reviews, 87 on Switch, and then 89 on PS5. Those, though, have like less than half of the reviews there. So when I was looking through this, it's a $15 game, and I'm sure that does factor into it for some of the reviews and how they're looking at it. Of course, an indie title, but it seems like it's just a very fun take on Breakout. However, there are things when it comes to repetition, since you're kind of doing that over and over again, especially if you have to end up grinding out certain aspects to the game to get stronger, to beat it. And then when it comes to the narrative side, not as much there. It's definitely more of an arcade-like experience. Still, though, for $15, or if you still have Game Pass, it's going in there. I do want to check it out. It's just I'm playing a lot right now, and this might be one of those games that I put off maybe till like the end of the year when I have a little bit of a break and some time to check it out. Oh, and here's a random update that was announced for a Switch 2 version, that being for Ark. Remember this was a whole saga where it came out, it wasn't great on the Switch one, then they like rebuilt it and it was better, and now it appears there is an update for the Switch 2. I haven't had a chance to check it out. It popped up and I was like, that is super random and kind of interesting. But like we can see over on Go Nintendo, they say the patch enables smoother gameplay with improved frame rate and higher resolution, upgraded shadow quality, and anti-aliasing quality, ensuring the definitive Ark experience on Nintendo's new system. Again, this is for Ark, the Ultimate Survivor Edition. I believe right now it's half off or something on sale. I'd have to check out the patch myself to see what the performance is like now. It'd be cool if it got up to 60 frames per second, but even just a cleaner looking game outright at the Switch, again, was limited with what it was able to do in the hardware. The Switch 2, though, much more capable, so curious to see what they're able to get out of the newer system from Nintendo. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo and their statement that they issued around this hacking situation. Again, I went over it in a video this weekend, and it's from a group called the Crimson Collective. It's like this new hacking group, and they're mostly looking to extort money from companies. Like they did a whole thing where they got into the back end of Red Hat, and with that, a bunch of different websites and information for different companies. Nintendo seemed to get caught up in all of this, and the group posted an image online of basically a folder structure that really, to me, looked like the news portion of the Nintendo website. So I really wasn't sure how much they would even have from that. I guess just scheduled announcements for the most part on the website. And how far out does that even go? That would be that sensitive for Nintendo to be paying out a bunch of money. That's the idea. They have a bunch of information and they want to sell it back to the company. Millions of dollars maybe. And Nintendo most likely is going to look at them and go, no, you can hold on to the news topics of the day or something, because, well, we can see this statement. Now, this is over on Sankey.com. Following information circulating online that an overseas hacker group had launched a cyber attack on Nintendo and obtained internal company data, Nintendo responded to an interview with the Sankey on the 15th, saying, "We have not confirmed any leak of personal information, and there has been no leak of development or business information. Some external services," this is the website now adding context, "that display Nintendo's website were defaced, but the company said that there was no evidence of damage to customers or intrusion into the companies." I mean, that's good news for Nintendo's standpoint, but also for customers who may have information like credit card or just personal information on Nintendo's website in their own databases. And this is sort of what it looked like anyway from what this Crimson Collective group posted. And the folder structure, what looked like part of Nintendo's website and nothing that would have customer data attached to it. This is, though, the strategy if you're trying to extort money using surface level information from Nintendo, is to make it look like you got everything. It's like, oh, look, we have all this stuff from Nintendo because of this hack we did over here with Amazon Web Services and stuff, and we have enough information that it is concerning for Nintendo and they have to give us money to get it back. We've seen this play out, though, where there was legitimate sensitive data taken. Insomniac was a big one. Capcom was a big one. And they also didn't negotiate or pay out, and the information got thrown online. Now, when it comes to customer data, that becomes a bit more concerning and tricky. But here, though, it doesn't seem like much was taken, and I don't think Nintendo cares if they decide to put out the news bulletins for November or something. It's like, wow, okay, you're just going to show off different screenshots of things we're going to post on our website or on Nintendo Today app to, guess what, advertise games that we most likely already know about. So Nintendo doesn't seem to really care as much here because it's really not that big of a deal. Instead, just kind of throwing cold water on the whole thing. And, well, something tells me Crimson Collective isn't going to have much to come back with if really they defaced some of the external websites and pulled some of the surface level details there. So at least here, nothing major in terms of this sort of hack with Nintendo, something very minor, and certainly nothing that would affect any of the information, at least at this time, that we know of, on Nintendo's site with personal or credit card information. But of course, I'll keep you guys up to date just in case anything substantial happens here where it evolves to the point of, oh wait, they actually do have customer data, because then, yeah, you might want to look into it a bit more, change passwords, or even just pull your information completely off Nintendo's website for the time being. Next up, let's talk about PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium, as we did have the games announced heading in to Halloween, and it's what we figured as we did have the big headline title leak out, but there were some other fun ones in here, so we'll start at the top here. These games will be available starting October 21st. And yes, Silent Hill 2 is the big headlining game. Really, really good get. Like, what, a year later or something after it came out, here it is now in PlayStation Plus Extra. Awesome, awesome stuff. Definitely recommend checking this out if you have not, especially like the 3D audio. It's just really, really well done, adds to the whole creepy atmosphere for Silent Hill 2, and it plays in nicely, once again, to kind of the horror aspect around Halloween. Then we also have Until Dawn. This is the remake that they did on the PlayStation 5. I wasn't really someone who was big into Until Dawn. I did look at the remake and I thought about like, I don't know if this is one I'm gonna now get into, but it is now a situation of, hey, here it is on PlayStation Plus that I already have. So maybe. I mean, this might be, again, a good Halloween game fired up on like the 30th or 31st. Just play a little bit of it, for the kind of Halloween mood and spirit there. Then we have V Rising on the PS5, another game I haven't played. So those are two back-to-back games I really haven't checked out on the PlayStation 5. It's a vampire survival action RPG adventure. Let me know down in the comments if this is a game worth checking out with V Rising. The next one, though, I have played, and I do fully recommend, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Awesome, awesome game. This was sort of the turn to the turn-based RPG style for the series now that they have sort of continued on. So easy recommendation there with Yakuza Like a Dragon. That is also PS5 and PS4. Then we have Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 on the PS5 and the PS4. Not familiar with that one. Don't know if that's, seems like it might be a little, after my time, maybe. Then we have As Dusk Falls on PS5 and PS4, Wizard with a Gun on PS5, and then we go directly into PlayStation Plus Premium. My one criticism here, because it's not the game is Tekken 3. Awesome game. Really cool to see that here. They say it has the enhanced up rendering, rewind, quick save, custom video filters. So a lot of cool stuff there for Tekken fans. My only criticism is one game. You feel like with premium, I still think you gotta come to the table with at least two titles. It could be a PS1 game and a PSP game. It could be two PSP games. It could be a PS2 and a PS, I don't know. Just, it seems weird to be like, here's one premium game for how expensive that tier is. It seems like still extra is the move, and then you just buy any of the premium games that you want to keep. That, to me, I think that's the strategy. Still though, it's a good month for PlayStation Plus with Silent Hill 2 and Until Dawn, and along with a few other games like Yakuza Like a Dragon. But let me know if there are any games here specifically that you're going to pick out and play heading into Halloween. Next up, let's talk about a job listing that's caught some attention for PlayStation because it does seem to signal the next PC port that's lining up for, I would assume, next year. Now we can see this. This is over on job boards, greenhouse.io. And it says, come join San Diego studio making a AAA PC title. Our focus is on delivering innovative, high-quality gaming experiences. We are seeking a senior PC graphics programmer to join our team in advancing the visual and technical quality of a AAA PC title. In this role, you will be responsible for developing and optimizing real-time graphics systems specifically for PC, ensuring robust performance and high visual fidelity across a wide range of hardware configurations. So San Diego Studios with Sony, that's they just work on MLB The Show, and I would assume this is MLB The Show finally going to PC. I say finally because, they moved it to Xbox and Switch. We're still kind of waiting for that Switch 2 version. It's still just like backwards compatible. Again, I assume next year you'll have a Switch 2 version for MLB The Show, and it makes sense that they would go to PC because right now it feels like Major League Baseball is the one calling the shots. They want this game on as many platforms as possible, and it seemed like they were willing to just take it away from Sony if they weren't going to do that, which sounds crazy because this has been San Diego Studios, their thing for years and years and years now, is MLB The Show. They have a ton of experience with it, but I guess Major League Baseball is like, hey, either you put these games on Xbox and then on Switch, as many places you can, or we're going to look for someone else to use this license. It might not have been called The Show, it might have been called something else, but I'm sure 2K is out there waiting in the wings like, oh yeah, okay, well, we could do something with that. They did baseball for a while there at least. So in this case, yeah, put it on PC, just get more people on board because, I thought about it. What baseball game is on PC? I'm sure there are like some smaller games and stuff, but anything the size of MLB The Show, I don't think so. Seems like an obvious avenue for them to take to get even more people on board because there is a lot of like post-purchase spend, for different things in the game that you can buy for microtransactions. Yes. So there you go. I figure this is the PC version, I assume, is going to be set up for next year. Although if they are hiring now, it does make you wonder if they would have enough time, but this would be like a port from, I guess, the version they've already been developing for a while now. And if you're one of these one of these studios that work with sports games specifically, I'm sure you're on the clock constantly. So we'll see if they have a PC or Steam logo, I guess, right next to the other versions of the games when they make that announcement next year. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Capcom and Resident Evil 1 and 2, as they did go over to GOG, but apparently it was a bit of a struggle behind the scenes to get Capcom on board with re-releasing the older versions of the games. Not necessarily like how they have, they have Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake and stuff. This was an interesting one. We can see this though. This is over on The Game Business, as they're talking about some of those classic Resident Evil games. Marcin Pazinski, who's the GOG senior business development manager, saying Capcom were like, we have all those remakes. It's already the superior experience to those games. Speaking on like the classic old Resident Evil, the PS1 Resident Evil games, right? You think of like 1, 2, 3, etc. They didn't really see the value in bringing back the vanilla versions. It took a lot of convincing that there is an audience that has a lot of memories about those games and would love to experience exactly the same game again. Thankfully, we were able to convince them. And then get this, when we launched Resident Evil on GOG, the reception was absolutely phenomenal. We have 94% positive reviews on GOG for all of them, and that was also reflected in the sales. It proved that there is an audience for this. The classical versions, the versions we all remember from our childhood, they still hold a lot of value. It is weird that some of these companies like a Capcom, and I'm sure they're not the only ones that think this way, look to their more recent games and go, well, people would just play these. They don't want to play the old games. But here's the thing. If you compare Resident Evil 2 Remake to Resident Evil 2 from back in the day on the PS1 or here on PC, they're like significantly different games. I understand characters, plots. Okay, sure. They're basically similar to the same, but the control scheme, the camera angle, the tank controls alone make it completely different. And then the aesthetic. I know a lot of these companies go, well, good graphics will make a game better and it'll sell better because it's easier to market. There's still something to many old people like myself, and I'm sure many of you out there who are watching, who still like the PS1 graphics at times. You see it and you go, okay, people say there's some charm to it. Let's be real. It's a lot of nostalgia. Like we just look at it and go, hey, I remember those days, and also I think there is kind of an artistic side to it as well, because there were corners you had to cut to make these games work at that time. And I still think with nostalgia goggles on, yes, they can at times be even more expressive, just because they had to figure out ways to make the characters seem scared or anxious or excited or happy. And it can't just be, oh, we'll change their facial expression. They maybe had to have them like do all kinds of crazy movements and stuff. A little more difficult back then when you couldn't even make the mouths move or your characters didn't even have fingers. So again, I see Capcom going, well, we have Resident Evil 2 Remake. They don't need Resident Evil 2. But then they'd say, you know what, go ahead, do it, whatever. And then it ends up doing well. And it gets reviewed well. And they get a bunch of money. So it's unfortunate that I do think some of these companies right now think this way. And it gets to the point where they have to be kind of pushed. Like, hey, let's do this, and you'll see what happens. And then they realize that, oh, wow, people still do like those older games, the way they look, the way that they play. And maybe this is an aha moment for Capcom going forward, but I still think about many of the other companies out there that maybe still thinking the way that Capcom is until somebody decides to push them on their old games. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, have you played the original Halo campaign? 67% say yes. All right, good job, everyone. 33% say no, which is also good because that means you are lined up to experience greatness for the first time. So the word right now going around is all over social media. The belief is that there will be a Halo remake at some point, and now people are linking it to the Halo World Championships that'll be happening here in about a week or so. That's fine. If we see it for the first time and it looks good, I expect it to look good visually. It's more the art style and stuff. Somewhat like, am I going to look at it and go, yep, that's Unreal Engine? Like Unreal Engine has a look to it. And then the performance stuff, and people are right now fighting over the idea of there being sprint, yes or no in the game. Some are like, oh, great, we have sprint. Others are like, that's not true Halo. I'm just hoping that we get a good campaign reenactment, or like I don't know if they're going to reimagine it. They kind of have to a sprint, because sprint could break some elements of campaign or just the maps. But either way, I'm hoping it just comes out and it's a good version of the campaign, because Halo needs it. It can't come out and be this weird bare bones experience like Halo Infinite. And I say that But then also, there's a good chance that it's just going to be the campaign. I don't even know how that's going to go over with people. So I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that we get a good presentation, say at this Halo World Championships coming up here soon. But I guess we'll find out what Halo Studios can do now with Unreal Engine and trying to remake the original, the classic. You can even say the first-person shooter GOAT at times, Halo Combat Evolved. And we'll finish up with the comments of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Evan Squared Son. Says, your Concrete Genie t-shirt is broken. It doesn't animate on its own. All right, good. Somebody realized that was Concrete Genie. I don't think many people played that game, but I it's also weird that I saw a shirt. I was like, oh wow, there's a Concrete Genie shirt. I have to get that because again, me and like a dozen people played the game. I like that game. I thought it was a fine game. It wasn't some crazy like blow you away AAA style looking game or anything like that. But you don't always need those kind of games. That one I think was interesting for the art style, the idea around it, some of the gameplay and stuff with it, but just the overall tone and some of the things that they explored in that game I thought were really well done. So yeah, I recommend it. It's not a long game either if you're just curious about it. I feel like it might be. I don't know. Someone let me know if it's in PlayStation Plus. I feel like games like just cycle through there constantly. If it is though, and you just have, a few hours, I'd recommend checking out, see what you think. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you want to see more about that Xbox or that ROG Xbox Ally X handheld. I did that entire teardown, checking out the insides of the system, and I'll leave it right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.